Why in the world was this movie made?
License to Watch. We're talking about the Austin Powers series. This is episode 2.
License to Watch.
Yeah, and we're talking about The Spy Who Shagged Me. I'm Matt McGregor.
I'm Colin Shaw.
I'm Harris McCabe.
And that's all of us. Just kidding. We have a special guest today. This is the man, the legend, friend of the podcast, Jonathan Maurer.
The legend. That is great. Thank you.
I've heard tell many legends.
Yeah.
This is true.
Dark stories that shall not be told on this podcast.
Save it for a bonus episode.
To speak them is to put us at risk of bad magic.
So I mean, we watched the first one. Well, Jonathan wasn't here for that, but
Jonathan's never seen the first one, so
no.
we're gonna have to fill him in on what he's missed.
Is that true?
I'm a quick learner, guys.
Spy Who Shagged Me. What'd you guys think?
It was definitely an Austin Powers movie.
I enjoyed it the most the very first time I saw it, when I saw it in theaters when it came out in 1999, right?
Yeah.
How
I
old were
must
you?
have seen this in theaters, but I don't remember.
I was 14.
Okay, that seems like the target demographic. That age is like, I feel like that's a right age for maximum. Not that I didn't enjoy this. I was a little bit older, but I definitely feel like 14 is exactly who they're going for.
It was. I think it's maybe even a year or two younger, but some of us had the taste for it.
Yeah.
I remembered going into watching this today, most recent watch. I remember this movie being funnier than the first one, but I am definitely wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah.
The first one is just, I guess that's, we watched it and we talked about I said I was surprised that Mini-Me wasn't in that first one. I had remembered that Mini-Me was in that one.
Mm-hmm. Mini-Me, obviously the highlight of the franchise in your mind, remembering it in the past.
Yeah, Mini-Me is like a strong emblem of this series for me. And him not being in the first one was quite shocking. But in this one, I was like, oh, here he is. Yes, this is the funny movie. But then pretty much him and maybe Fat Bastard. Is Fat Bastard even that funny? I don't know.
Well, so this is one thing I immediately thought when watching this. I was like, I remember Fat Bastard getting introduced being great because he was funny. And watching it today, I realized I'm not sure that Fat Bastard is funny at all.
Yeah, he's just gross.
Yeah, he's just disgusting.
Yeah.
There's comedy in that.
Yeah. Also, I kept thinking about Mini-Me has a lot of scenes, but it's really just one joke.
That he's the tiny Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's over and over again. And that Dr. Evil likes him better than Scott. That's
Yeah,
And then he wants to kill Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that Fat Bastard wants to eat him, which was...
Okay, so there's several jokes regarding...
I was going to say, I think he's a little more dynamic than that.
But
I think you're underselling.
But they do it so many... It's the same thing every time he has a scene, and they give him a bunch of scenes.
Well, it's like a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
It's one
It's
minor
almost
character.
like
I
a
think you
movie
guys are
is
underselling.
comprised of several scenes and characters who say dialogue sometimes.
So
You're
I actually
right.
have a way more vivid memory of this coming out, and I remembered the movie better than I thought I would. Revisiting it last night, first time I seen it, probably over a decade. But I remembered it really well, and I remembered the distinctions of introducing those two characters here. But I remember that movie being like the biggest jump up of a sequel, as far as the first one was only 2 years earlier. Nobody that I knew watched that movie, 1997. And then by the time Spy Who Shagged Me came out, from like VHS and stuff, everybody was hyped to watch that movie.
Yeah.
And I remember the buzz, like this theater was sold out on opening night. I went to the theaters, and it was like huge laughs, the whole movie.
I remember it being full, like totally full in the theater.
This
and
is
I saw it more than once.
This is one that I didn't look up exactly how this all sort of came about, but I think you're onto something with the idea that the first one was successful. It was a huge hit, but not everyone saw it in the theaters when it came out. It wasn't an event. It took us by surprise, and I think it gained momentum in the home video market.
Of the first one, I'll say my only memory was we used to go to the movies, my brother and I, who's older, all the time. And that one I never went to. I barely remember hearing about it even. And he was 3 years older, and he went with a friend, and his response was like, it was okay. It had this Vanilla Ice joke that was funny. That's what I remember. And totally undersold it. And then, yeah, it caught on later, and it became, by the time 2 came out, it was like a cultural phenomenon, I thought, for like kids of our age, you know.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it in the first episode, and we all sort of talked about how much this movie, at least the first one, like permeated the culture, and like people were quoting it left and right. So how old were you when the first one? Are you the same age as me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Still.
Yeah.
Still the same relation
So
to each other.
the first one you were in like seventh. I was in seventh grade when it came out. So yeah, you're the same age. So did the movie have as much as an effect on you and your friends?
As we said, yeah, totally. We were the perfect age for this. It was the right kind of stupid, and it was like the late 90s where, you know, you could get away with some things that have aged terribly in the movie that we'll get to, I'm sure. But like, yeah, at that time, the voice, it was rare. I remember at one point watching it last night thinking like, this, in a small way, I feel like this paved the way for like Borat, like a character that's absurd like that.
Yep.
And that people quote ad nauseum.
Right, exactly.
And you're like,
Exactly.
okay, that's
So-
not funny inherently by itself.
Yeah, so I think, you know, for its time, it was way bigger. How well has it aged is a different question, but certainly it was a huge, huge movie. I had it on VHS,
Well,
I'm sure.
For a little perspective to sort of support what you're saying about the first movie and the second one, the first movie was a $16.5 million movie, did very well, made $67.5 million, huge hit. This movie was a $33 million movie and made $312 million. So quite a bit more, much, much bigger film. And it was, I think it was based largely on that. After the fact, the movie became such a cultural phenomenon that people were waiting for this one to come out.
I'm going to venture a guess and say that uptick in the budget is all Mike Myers' salary. Like, this movie to me looks exactly the same. Didn't feel...
It has more product placement. They got more of it paid for. There's a Heineken commercial in it. There's a
some
Volkswagen commercial
there's some
in
really
it.
vulgar. It's
Yeah.
just so like not even trying to hide it at all.
Yeah, the like the Heineken joke where he's like, "Hands off my Heine, baby," comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
and then they leave it behind just as quickly. They're like, "Just have to product place this Heineken, and that's it."
Yeah.
and then we're done. Yeah, no, I definitely think I was thinking the same thing. Like, where did that money go other than Fat Bastard's makeup? Which with
yeah.
fat suit, which actually, you know, this was nominated for an effects makeup Oscar.
Award?
Yeah,
Wow.
yep.
There is 2 different layers or 3 different layers. There's the Starbucks one, the moon base, and there's one other one, right? Those are big sets. Oh, the volcano base, the Starbucks base.
I think this was a more like a better looking movie in general,
Yeah.
and it was bigger. The world was bigger. The opening number, I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good."
The
actually,
first thing I noticed
watching it
was
again. Yeah, it had-
the opening number basically took 2 elements from the first one that were very popular.
that's probably a couple
One-
days of shooting.
Yeah.
On that sequence alone.
So the opening number in the first movie was him dancing around fully clothed into this, you know, to the Austin Powers theme as the credits rolled, and it was kind of funny and antic and whatever. And they sort of combined that with
More swinging 60s than
right,
this one.
and they combined that idea of him dancing around to the song with the nudity, the hidden nudity joke from the first movie, and put those 2 together. But my first thought was like, wow, the credit graphics, like the opening title graphics, got way more sophisticated because they're actually interactive and sort of they just look a lot better. So
there's that grand finale under Andre Roach's title card. That whole big like a Busby Berkeley thing.
yeah, they
you
do
know?
the water ballet thing.
The thing where he comes out of the water, but he's dry because they
They do
reverse
it
it.
reverse.
That's a good shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Is
like
how
that
they
part.
did
It is how they did
It's
that.
a little behind the scenes.
He's that hot. He just dries
Yeah,
off.
it's again, like, I was disappointed that it's just not as funny as it was when I saw it in the theaters at 14 years old.
Is anything ever as funny as a good comedy the first time you see it, though? Like, I feel like
Maybe
that's
not.
because comedy depends so much on surprise. We have an affection and a nostalgia for, like, I've probably seen Three Amigos, I don't know, 100 times.
that movie today. That's weird.
And I've probably seen that movie more than any other comedy I've ever seen, and I still love it, but it's never going to be as funny as it was the first time. You know, like, they're never going to, because you don't have that moment of like, oh my God, I didn't see that joke coming.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh, I love this joke.
Dusty
I
Rhodes.
can't wait to see it again.
Jonathan, some call us the Three Amigos.
That's not true.
No one's
You-
ever.
Oh, can I be the Steve Martin? Can I be the Steve Martin?
Yes, you can be the Steve Martin.
I don't want to be
I
a
feel like
jerk
you're
about
more
Can
it.
be Martin Short.
Wait,
I
wait.
feel like you're more the Chevy Chase, but
I don't want to be a jerk about it.
oh
it?
God, what an exhausting
Steve Martin is
what an
famous for
exhausting joke to
a movie called The Jerk.
to force into this podcast.
So, again, taking counter, keep it hot. Keep
takes.
this
Hot
hot
take
takes,
Jonathan.
baby. I
You know,
had
sometimes
the opposite.
we call him Hot Take Jonathan.
That's HTJ, baby.
HTJ.
I thought it was a lot funnier than I expected. When you asked me to revisit this movie for the purpose of coming today, I was like, I don't really need to. I remember it well enough. It's not, what nuance am I going to be reminded of? I don't really need it. And I have a good memory for stupid jokes like that. I've probably seen the movie a dozen times, all 15 years ago. But I was like, oh, it held up a little bit better than I thought. I laughed multiple times. And I thought I would be like, flat-faced through it. But I was like, no, it worked on me.
You know what really got me today, when some of the other things didn't, was the whole bit about him using that woman as a human shield.
Best joke in the movie. I wrote it down.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's another one of those ones that we talked about. I think we talked about this on the last one, where they take the premise of a joke and just keep on pushing it further and farther, and just the repetition of it, it's like, okay, it's getting old, and then it gets funny again because they've just taken it so far, and that's a perfect example of that really working well.
And whoever
Totally.
that woman is like, we're gonna kill you.
Great scene.
Get the
Totally,
bazooka!
totally reminds you of Naked Gun. Like total riff on the Naked Gun. So great.
Yeah.
Physical violence when there's no repercussion. It's like very funny.
Yeah.
By the way, Naked Gun series, great franchise.
Oh, we.
Bring me
can
back
agree
for the
on
first.
that.
Bring me back for the first one.
Better in retrospect now that this movie just has accused murderers in it.
I never think about the fact that OJ is in those, like, until someone says it.
It's the first thing.
When you
Unfortunately, it's the
when you
first thing that
watch it,
comes
watch
into
it
my
with
mind.
the running commentary. They talk about it in the first scene where he's in all black and he's like doing the sting. They're like, "Oh, this is archival footage."
So I had talked about it at the first show, or we had briefly touched on the fact that Vanessa is a fembot in this one.
Right.
And I had completely forgotten that fact before our last podcast, and I had completely forgotten it again when I watched this movie. And it's weird to me that she's even in this movie.
She does a really great job.
She does, yeah.
Do you think she had something in her contract that was just like, if there's a sequel, I'm in it, and they were like, "Oh, here you go." You have 3 seconds.
Like they cut her out just because they wanted to get another girl in there.
Well, and it's also a play on a Bond joke, right?
Yeah.
There's the one where he gets married and like she gets killed on their wedding night or something.
Yeah.
You guys probably know
Yeah.
about this.
Yes, we know about it.
On Her Majesty's Secret
may
Service. She gets killed
remember
at the end of that movie, though. But I think they were originally planning on having her show up in the next one and getting killed off. I think that was a decision they made sort of on the fly, if I recall. But in this one, they definitely. I think it's so they could have a happy ending in one movie and then not have a loose end when they bring it into this one.
Yeah. No, I think it was a great decision. However, what do you guys think about Heather Graham's role in this movie?
Can I just say, sorry, one of my favorite jokes is when Austin tearfully is like, "It turns out she was a fembot all along," and he's like, "Oh yeah, we know."
Oh, yeah, when Basil Exposition comes up.
I thought that was
yes,
such an
Austin.
understated joke.
We
That was
knew
great.
all along.
Yeah.
That was terrific.
And they just keep going, like, we knew all along. So
And he
why?
just asked so many questions, like, why did you let him hang out with the fembot?
That's the best. I think that's the best Basil Exposition line. I think that's funnier than the scene where Austin tries to punch out his mother in the first one.
Although we do have the one in this one where I like the moment where they're talking about the time travel and trying to make sense of it.
Oh,
And
I
he's
love
like,
that,
it's
yeah.
best to just move on. And,
I don't like that because they break the wall way.
oh,
third
yeah,
wall
they
way
both
too
look
many
direct.
times.
Not only do they both look into the camera, which already would have been funny, but
they
he
speak
goes
to the
"And
audience."
yes, and that goes for you too.
I don't know about
But I think you
guys.
asked about Heather Graham, right?
Yeah, well, before we jump into her, like, I just thought Elizabeth Hurley looked like a fucking smoke show in this movie. Like, she looked really good.
Par for the course for her. She looked good in the first one.
Is that
But
because
she looked even better in this one, is what I'm
is
saying.
that because of your sexual attraction to robot fetish?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember when it came out being bummed that they replaced her.
Yeah.
I had like a super crush
Well,
on
Heather
Elizabeth
Graham
Hurley.
was hot off of, like, you know, Boogie Nights.
Well,
and
this is what's interesting. I actually had to look
Swingers.
this up. She wasn't hot off of Boogie Nights. So just to get some perspective on her career, because it's interesting where this falls in her career. She came out in like Drugstore Cowboy, I think was the first thing that she was recognized in, and then she did some other stuff. She was sort of like a working actress in Hollywood for a while, and then she did kind of have a breakout movie in Boogie Nights, 1997.
and Swingers was around then too.
I think Swingers
was 97.
It was just before that. So she had a really good 1997 and then did not get offered a single decent role for like a year and a half. And she was worried that her career was over somehow. And this was the first role she got offered, like before she was going to start taking like B movies and stuff like that.
Wow.
And because just inexplicably, she just, wasn't getting work. And this was like 2 years later that this came out. And then the same year she did this, she did her finest role, Bowfinger, which is
I love that movie.
Also a much better movie.
Yeah, that movie's so good.
The movie's amazing. But I also thought it was weird that like this is like
Chubby Rain.
We should just talk about Heather Graham.
Okay,
Let's talk about Heather Graham.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with her. Like, I was thinking about when watching the movie today. I was thinking I had both the soundtrack albums, and I remember her. You know how the CD comes with a little booklet.
Yeah.
Just like her being in the booklet made me like covet the little booklet so much. It was.
I think you're
It was
confusing.
bad.
I think you're confusing the word covet with masturbate.
Come it. He meant come it.
Perhaps you're right. Look, what should I feel guilty for being 14 and really, really wanting to have sexual relations with Heather Graham after seeing the movie The Spy Who Shagged Me? Should I feel guilt about that?
No, I think you're.
I'm not
okay.
shaming you.
Okay.
She was very hot in this movie, and I was pretty into her at the time too. So I had an
Not as much as me.
I had an uncle who worked for Saturday Night Live growing up, and he used to let me come hang out there on Saturdays, and I would pretty much only go when like a super hot actress was hosting, and Heather Graham was one of them. And I remember being near her. It was great.
Oh, did that ruin it for you? Was she rude to you or something?
No, she was fine. I think she was dating Ed Burns at the time. Is that true?
Oh.
Because I remember him being there, and Saving Private Ryan had just come out, and I remember recognizing him from Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. I bet you she was dating him. Either that or they were really good friends.
Perhaps.
Maybe
I was like,
maybe she was his beard.
Maybe.
Starting rumors here.
just.
Ed Burns.
You have anything
gay.
to base that on, or you just going?
Just nothing. Just wigging it.
You qualified it. You qualified it.
You heard it
Maybe.
here first. Maybe.
And that was the beginning.
Yeah, so Heather Graham.
I remember thinking she was beautiful, but as an actress, flat. I find her
Yes.
not
Especially in this
like
movie.
she didn't want to be there. It felt like a little bit to me. And if that is part of her narrative
I'm,
of
I'm
like having
curious. I'm curious if no, because this was like she was very happy to get this
that.
role.
Well, who wouldn't be? Sure.
And I am. I mean, honestly, I feel the same. I don't think wanting it has anything to do with it.
That character's really dumb, right?
Well, yeah, but like talk about like flat. I mean, there's dumb, and then there's like really just delivering it like you just like somebody's holding up a cue card. This seemed like she might have been, on an SNL sketch, like the amount of preparation.
It was.
And
That is how it felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very unaffected
Yeah.
and no choice made about the character. And she's not written dumb. Like she's
She's like smiling through the whole
she's
thing.
shrewd. Like she gets shit done. She kicks ass. Like she's fucking saves his life and like whatever. She's like a good spy.
yeah, she's super competent.
Yeah, and then she's like flirty and sexy.
Right.
But she just doesn't commit to any of that stuff. So and it's not a play on anything like Beyonce in the next movie. You can talk about without me, but
Right.
Yeah. See, I know,
Better.
I know
Much
that
better.
I was too into her in like when I was 14 because I know that everything you're saying is absolutely correct, and I see it, but I'm still a little upset. We don't speak poorly about her. We don't speak badly about her. She was too good looking.
Watching her in this movie, I was kind of surprised at how underwhelming and the performance was, and I was trying to think back on, wait, is she just not a good actress? And I love her in Bowfinger. I love her in
but what
Boogie-
is she
Boogie-
playing Bowfinger though?
Yeah, she plays.
She
a
plays Heather
ditzy-
Graham,
Yeah, exactly.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I she was good in Boogie Nights, but that's a pretty small role. And so I was just trying to think like, what else was she in that she's been good in? and I couldn't come up with anything. I felt bad
Everything.
about that because she very well might be great in some stuff, but also I could barely think of another movie that she was in. So
The Hangover? Is she in that?
Yeah, she's in Hangover.
Yeah.
The little baby is her baby. in
Right, right,
Hangover,
right.
yeah.
I like her scene in Swingers. I always love that movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's,
but again,
and
like,
it's-
she's very good. That's
Does
a
she
good.
speak?
Yeah.
Sure, she has like.
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
No,
she's-
she has like a central role. It's like one
She has
scene
one
at
scene,
the end, but it's like
right,
the
yeah.
whole emotional.
I do
crux of
think
the movie.
this. I mean, I do think this role is awkward. It's like you're supposed to really fall in love with, like Mike Myers while he's acting like this.
And by the way, at one point, if you haven't already, can we talk about how Austin Powers is the least sexy person in the history of the world?
Yeah. I think
that's the joke,
It is,
Yeah.
but it's like so toxically, terribly
Yeah,
unsexy.
it reached a different level in this movie than it was in the first movie. And I think also in the first movie he's being the character Austin Powers, and in this one he's being Mike Myers in a costume more.
Mike Myers as Austin Powers.
I will
Yeah.
say that when he doesn't have the teeth in, it really feels that way. It feels like Mike Myers just wearing a silly
Yeah.
wig and glasses.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of all the like bad Austin Powers like Halloween costumes that I've seen over the years. And like it reaches another level of like disgust, I think, for us, or like ugh, just this isn't funny anymore, because it's again permeated culture for so long that we've heard these lines. We've heard people make fun of Austin Powers or like impersonate him for so long that now we watch it and it's just like it seems like it's been done to death.
This
know?
movie starts to lean into the slapstick over the writing also. Like there's tons more physical jokes, like somebody gets hit in the nuts, or like, you know, like
Yeah,
he
he
falls
gets bit
down,
in
or
the
he's
nuts.
like walking or dancing in a weird way or whatever, you know, like it's
Yeah.
just not like, and that's all dependent on him just being Mike Myers, really, kind of, you know.
What bits did they bring back from the first movie?
Him saying baby a lot.
Well, that's I mean like Will Ferrell's character,
The implied nudity.
Yeah.
right?
And
but they did that in a smart way, like Harris said.
Sure,
They
but
didn't
I mean,
like
it's
do
a
the bit
commitment
again.
to the whole. They do at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
It has a
yeah,
few-
as part of the song.
And then they just escalate the joke because you can't tell the same joke literally twice, so they
Yeah.
find a new way to tell it. But it's the same thing. Veiled cursing, right? Like the veiled cursing, right? The whole like Johnson Pecker. That whole bit,
that's
a
the best bit in the whole
carryover,
movie,
right?
I think.
Well, they didn't do that in the first one. That
Right.
that was what we were saying. Was
No?
this was we were all shocked that that wasn't in the first one either, because that was one of like the most memorable. That's like the most memorable Austin Powers type thing.
Because I think they do that again in the next movie too.
Yeah, yeah.
And they do it twice in this movie,
They
which
like
I
it.
also didn't remember. I thought they only did it one time in each movie.
And
but
it is
it's
maybe
twice
the
in this
best.
movie.
It's maybe the funniest thing in this movie. It's the thing I enjoyed the most. And I was just like, why don't they just keep going? They should just do
Yeah,
like 20
they were
minutes
right
of
to
this.
do it a second time
Yeah.
because they knew it was the funniest joke in the movie and they had to do it again.
I love that they got Willie Nelson in on it. I love that they got Woody,
Woody
Harrelson
Harrelson.
in on it.
Yep.
There's one more celebrity, isn't there?
Um,
Maybe not. I don't
There's
know.
a few familiar faces.
Willie and Woody are
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Though.
Yeah,
there's like Stifler's mom. I forget her real
Oh
name.
yeah.
Yeah, she's in one of them.
that's her legal name actually.
Yeah, that's all I can think of that she's in. Yeah, but that's a great bit. Oh, Clint Howard, right?
Right, they got Clint Howard back.
And we said last time that we thought Clint Howard was dead. He is not dead. He's
But I'd like
still
to-
very much alive.
well, I'd like to continue to push that rumor though, because I feel like
Harris again, pushing rumor. You heard it here first.
I feel like I still don't have evidence that Clint Howard's alive. I don't care what the internet says.
He's here. He's right there.
It would be really funny if he died between the time of recording this and releasing it.
Oh,
what did you know? And
I
when
would feel bad.
What did you know and when did you know it?
I just don't want to agree with that.
Yeah, don't you put that evil on me.
I'm gonna kill him. Immediately. You heard it here first. So yeah, is that it for returning bits?
No.
Oh, well,
There's
the-
the
we've
$1
got-
million thing,
Oh,
but in
yeah.
reverse.
Yeah.
We also have the Burt Bacharach, this time with Elvis Costello in tow,
Yeah.
singing the song.
For like the fourth time, they break the third wall for that.
Yep.
I mean, do all the repeated Bond tropes count as repeats? Because it's like the women with the sex names.
Ivana Hump a lot.
Ivana Humpalot,
Oh, yeah.
Gloria Swallows.
Well,
or
Ivana
whatever.
Humpalot.
Robin
Spitz,
Swallows.
Robin
yeah.
Spitz
Maiden
Swallows,
name
yeah.
Spitz. Yeah. Terrible
Yes,
joke.
Bad joke. One thing that we have in this one that's different is a really robust soundtrack of original music. This was like a best-selling soundtrack.
I believe I bought
album,
this soundtrack.
and, yeah, I think a
Zip
lot of
it.
people.
Zip it. That's our turning bit. Sorry.
Yeah,
Good job.
Zip It was back. Beautiful stranger.
Yeah, we got Madonna's "Beautiful Stranger," which won a Grammy.
And that was made for this movie.
Yes.
Uh,
or it was released.
I
It was.
think so.
Yeah, I think it was.
So
Its music
since-
video was like Austin Powers.
Yeah,
video.
yeah. I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
Since we are the same gentlemen who have appeared in the Bondcast James Bondcast, how do you feel about comparing the song from Die Another Day with this Madonna song? Wasn't Die Another Day in '99 also, or was it later?
No,
it was like
2002.
2001, 2002. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But I mean, this
This is how she
close
prepped
to
for it.
Bond. Yeah, she's like prepping for it exactly.
Yeah, I like this song better.
I like this song better too. Although "Die Another Day" will get stuck in my head probably a lot more than this one.
Yeah,
We also have Mel B, Spice Girl Mel B's "Word Up."
that's great.
For the listeners, his eyes rolled.
I think they can hear it, Jonathan.
It sounds like this.
And of course, Lenny Kravitz's "American Woman," which
Yeah.
he did for this movie and then wasn't going to release, I don't think, on an album, and ended up re-releasing on one of his own albums.
That was a
because
huge
it
radio
was such
hit.
a huge.
Oh
it
man,
was such a,
I
but
think
it's-
I own this soundtrack. I'm pretty sure.
It's a note-for-note cover of "American Woman" minus the kick-ass guitar solo in the original. So it's like, it's kind of odd that this was the huge hit.
Mr. Kravitz, we're ready to record the solo now. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I can't.
Guitar solos are so 1970s.
There's something I read where the original political themes of the song were largely replaced by sex appeal.
It is Lenny Kravitz after all. I mean, come on. Can't blame water for being wet.
I think that's in his
of the song.
It's in his
replaced
bio.
by sex appeal.
Lenny Kravitz, a artist whose political content is replaced by sex appeal.
that one line is just like, yeah, nice.
Party affiliation, leather pants.
Oh, and of course we have the two covers: Elvis Costello covering Burt Bacharach's "Never Fall in Love Again," and Mike Myers as Dr. Evil covering Will Smith's cover.
Yeah,
of,
just
of,
the two of us.
who sings the original version of
Grover Washington
Grover
Jr.
Washington Jr. Yeah.
Grover.
Oh,
Yeah.
Grover. Yes. And that was another brutal, like, wow, this is dated. When he's doing the "Just the Two of Us" rap, I'm like, is this real?
That scene is so unnecessary. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Well, it was like a huge hit, right? The
Yeah.
Will Smith right at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's betting on some of these jokes. What was the other one that was so?
What if God?
Yeah,
was
yeah,
one
yeah.
of us?
Right,
That
yeah.
part was great. I thought.
That's the same scene.
And the Jerry Maguire
It's a little
reference.
before.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
They
Yep.
quote. They
Jerry
pull out
Maguire
that
beats
quote.
it.
There's like a couple that are like super hot cultural things right then, and it's kind of interesting which ones remain. You know.
But
Yeah,
you know, like,
Jerry
Harris said-
Maguire, I think is still like that's
That's
I
iconic
think
line.
everyone still
They
gets
bet
it.
on it
Yeah,
right
yeah,
away.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's comedy. You know, it's like hitting.
Is this the second lesson you're giving me on comedy?
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah, so
Okay.
comedy
I hope I know
101.
by the end of the.
Now, I've seen there's like two faces, right? And one of them's sort of frowny and one of them's happy. Which one is comedy? They're masked, right?
Clearly, you haven't seen Joker.
Sort of different note. This is called Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me. I'm sure you guys all read this about how that apparently shag is in other countries looked on as a very
Dirty word.
provocative, yeah, very not cool word to have on the posters and everything. And there was a lot of people that said it being in the title of this movie and this being released in a lot of countries under that name still, despite the fact, like, made it a little more palatable and a little more mainstream in some countries. What I found was interesting was that they changed it in a lot of countries, including Norway, where they changed it to Spionen som soup.
You know, it's
I'm
gonna
not
be
even going
good.
to try to say it. But it translates to "the spy who ejaculated on me."
That's better.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also accurate. It's a bit of a spoiler alert, though, because he doesn't have his mojo. You don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Will he? Won't he?
Is Mojo It's basically his ejaculate.
Well, he
I-
sucked it out of his dick, and it was red. So it's like his dick blood, I think. I did think about that for a while.
I thought
as I was
you.
watching it again.
I was gonna have to like ask you a follow-up question because I thought you were saying, well, obviously it's ejaculate. He sucked it out of his
Yeah.
dick and it's red.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, hang on a second, Jonathan. Follow-up
Different
something
podcast.
wrong.
Different podcast.
Follow-up question. I saw the movie Antichrist, and I feel like this is one.
I absolutely
Too
did.
soon.
Of all the things, I did not expect this to happen, and I absolutely should have. Like the discussion of what is the mojo, ejaculate, dick blood.
I knew
what?
we would go there, for the record. I was
should have
going to take
known.
us there.
I should have known we were going
one
to
way
talk
or
about
another.
this.
Yeah. I wish I had more prepared.
Let's
mean,
let's put a
this-
pin in it. We'll come back to it. In the,
Yeah, I'm gonna write some things here.
Yeah.
To steal from a Star Trek subtitle, they could have called this Austin Powers: The Search for Dick Blood.
The search for dick blood.
I read, I think it's on the IMDb, I guess, that they were gonna call it, I think Austin Powers 2, or the title card was gonna introduce it as Austin Powers 2: The Wrath of Khan. Wait, that's taken. We'll just call it Austin Pussy. Oh no, wait. And then it was gonna say like Austin Powers 2.
Yeah, I think that was actually like in the original scripted version. They made a joke just in the script that didn't ever make it any further than that. But yeah, it was like about multiple bad titles being replaced.
I could definitely.
And they
see
did the
that.
Star Wars episode.
Star
I remember
Wars.
thinking I forgot they were the same year. I was when the title card came out. I'm like, why did they do that? It's like
They had
absurd.
that,
Right, I
they
had
had
the same
random
thought,
choice.
yeah.
They had that commercial that was like, if you see one movie this summer, make it
Right.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. But if you see two movies,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, I forgot about that, but like,
yeah,
yeah,
this is like actually a really good commercial, I thought.
yeah, it was.
It's a very meta film.
Phantom Menace was.
Speaking of things that were of its time and didn't really age that well, a lot of Jerry Springer in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I actually loved the Jerry Springer scenes. I thought they were great, especially the first one when he starts screaming at the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, the way he runs at the guy, the Ku Klux Klan guy, he sticks his tummy out and he opens his hands all the way and flails his arms to the side. Like that's the way Dr. Evil attacks someone.
I just like that they bleep him out. Like
Yeah.
you never hear him curse, but like on that show, he just cursed so much. That was great.
Yeah, that's Jerry Springer was so hot then. That was people would always talk about Jerry.
He was
Springer.
so hot that his bald bodyguard guy Steve got
His own show.
his own
That was the
show.
most remarkable. Imagine spinning off of being the silent guy on the Jerry Springer show.
Yeah, into your own.
You want a show?
Yeah,
We got money coming out of our.
Yeah.
is he still doing that show?
It's been on for 30 years.
No, I mean
He's a
the,
Hollywood star, man.
It rivals 60 Minutes for
His
longest
Hollywood
show.
star just says Steve.
yeah. I remember, daytime TV. It's a huge controversy. Has Jerry Springer taken it too far? These talk shows are already all about, biological parent reveals and
What was
Stuff
funny?
like
What was
that.
funny about this is they nailed the actual what the Jerry Springer show was, which is like a surprising reveal or whatever. But it would always devolve into a fight, and they would always say like, "Okay, we always try to tell them they're not allowed to fight and they can't fight and blah 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 blah." But the entire setup, every setup of every show was we're going to put people that want to kill each other in the same room. And then just sort of let them go at it for a second before
and
we step in and break it up.
They
They were-
distilled a whole episode to a 90-second bit in the movie.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
And nailed it,
It's perfect. Jerry comes, he like sells it. He kills his little line. It's a great way to start the movie. Really high energy laugh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
and
And I love that the guy in the control room is like watching it, but he's not supposed to be watching it.
He's supposed to be watching national security.
But it ends
stuff.
up being his best intel. All of America does not know Dr. Evil. None of our resources knew that. The
And they-
dude learns it on Jerry Springer.
They could have definitely done like I was expecting, because I forgot that that's how they introduced Dr. Evil's return. I was expecting another joke of the rocket coming in and the guy seeing it and everything. So I was like, oh, so this is one occasion where they took an idea from the previous one and didn't go with the making the same joke again. They actually thought of something new and different to do with it, which is bravo for them.
Yeah, there were a lot of clever things in this movie, but then a lot of things that I think its biggest weakness was like time. Like over time, certain things just like.
I think the heavy reliance on slapstick and poop jokes was a big mistake.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
wait,
talk about Fat
wait, are
Bastard.
you?
Can we? I'm sorry. Before we move on from the introduction of Doctor Evil, are we really going to gloss over the fact that he is basically Howard Schultz? That he just is the Starbucks CEO,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and he grows up to be a megalomaniac that wants to take over the world.
Well, that's. I
I'm
mean,
like, that's kind of relevant right now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
talk about easy jokes that still are being made today. Starbucks being evil. That's
Right.
like
Yeah.
one of the.
They
We
were
classic-
literally
very early
made
in
that
on
joke
that
in an
one.
ad that
Yeah.
we did.
I would say
Imagine
that.
that joke is 20 years old now.
I would. Yeah. I would say that's what aged the best is the Starbucks joke.
Yep.
Also, you get the cheap cappuccino in the nose gag.
Yep.
Good
Oh,
sight
yeah.
gag.
Yep.
It's called a Belgian dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about Fat Bastard and his
I'm-
comic genius.
I want to register some surprise that Colin is anti.
Fat bastard.
No, anti stupid poop joke. I felt like that was right
yeah,
up.
you've really grown as a character.
I felt like that was
Your
right up
arc
Colin's
has come full
alley.
You
Yeah.
can you can make poop jokes. You just can't only make poop jokes. And Fat Bastard is at least more than 60% poop jokes.
He's a 2,000-pound poop joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a metric ton. I like that. I like
Metric
his
ton.
introduction.
It's
of it.
It's a very good unit of measurement to make a joke out of.
Yeah. It's a very funny
Yeah.
unit of measurement. But then the next joke is that he eats babies.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that this, and I remember people saying that, like, "Get in my belly," and all
Yeah.
the you know. I remember the people repeating the fat bastard baby joke. I still don't understand where that. It's so odd.
It's his
and-
first line.
Yeah,
It's literally just introduced so that when he sees Mini-Me later, he can
Right,
make
exactly.
a baby joke.
Matt, as a first-time dad, was it a little triggering to you?
It
a little
was.
triggering
Yeah,
to
I
me.
was like,
I was like,
"Ate
oh, like
a child?"
picture this man eating babies.
And then there's a scene where he's in bed and he has a baby bottle in his pile of food.
And he's like, ooh,
Yeah.
what's this doing here?
Oh man, and the fat suit when he's in the naked fat suit, so
eating the chicken.
gross.
That was appalling.
He leans forward, like, or he rolls over to get whatever, and like they don't even harp on it, but you could see under his like breast, there's like something under
yeah.
there.
That's like corn. I think there's like a third
It
nipple
looked like
too.
a white substance.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god.
There
this
was
is
a lot.
disgusting.
It was a lot to take.
I thought
in.
it was good. I thought the naked joke, the sex joke, was funny enough. It's again Heather Graham.
It's
she
the way they cut
doesn't
into
play
it.
the
I forget
scene
what the
at
previous
all.
scene is
It's
that leads
so.
right
It's
into
just a dude in a fat suit, and she's not giving him anything. It was
Yeah, yeah, it's rough stuff from.
It is a good fat suit, though. I mean, it looks seamless. I can't
Oscar
tell.
nominated. baby.
especially compared to some of the other VFX, like the volcano base from the exterior,
Oh, that is one of the. That
looks
might be
so
the worst
fake.
CGI shot
and
in
the moon
American
base
history.
from the exterior, totally fake looking.
Yeah, but at least they're consistent.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is them trying to like sort of spoof the cheesiness of the older.
No, I think that was
franchise thing.
high-end CGI.
And it just
back
doesn't
then. Yeah.
play.
Well, speaking of consistency, I think we have to go back to talking about fat bastard shits. No, we don't.
Got a turtle head poking out.
See, I made a poop joke. Harris,
Yeah, nice job.
you're not
Well,
disappointed anymore.
it's not just a joke. It's a plot point in this movie.
It is.
And then the coffee. Actually, I thought the coffee drinking scene where you know
That's-
Austin
that's the
Powers
worst.
is getting ready to drink the coffee and he confuses it with a shit. And I thought what I thought was good about it was there was an element of surprise because I'm waiting the entire time. I'm like, oh no, he's gonna drink the poop. Oh no, he's gonna drink the poop. Oh no, he's gonna drink the poop. And then you know, and then he drinks, and then he finally drinks the poop. But then they play off another joke on it where he says, "This coffee tastes like shit," and Basil Exposition says, "It is shit."
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Good, I'm glad. I thought it was just me who keeps drinking it," which I thought was like an interesting way to turn that into like an extra unexpected piece of humor.
I hate that scene. That's the worst part of it. I don't want to see a man drink shit.
It's a really terrible setup, but I agree. They rang two jokes out of the punchline.
Yes.
They kind of redeemed it a little bit.
A
at the
little
end.
bit, a little bit.
So that's your least favorite scene. What's everyone else's? We'll do least favorite scenes, then we'll do favorite scenes.
Oh, jeez.
Do you have a least favorite? I can tell you my least favorite scene.
Please do.
It's the scene when he goes back to the 60s and he goes to like the club and where he first meets Heather Graham's character. I don't
The
know.
human shield thing? That's
What?
the funniest part. The human
that-
shield thing is like the funniest scene.
I do like that joke. I guess I just don't like. So I guess I just don't like the swinging 60s. The whole like vibe of it. It's not my aesthetic. And
Oh my God, you're a square.
I was going.
So wait, what about when they press the button at his house in the end and people just come out of his walls to start partying?
Yeah, exactly. That's,
Third least favorite scene.
that's the same thing. Yeah.
What about the interstitials? Like,
I was just thinking
like,
about what those people were doing. Like they just wait around in his walls all day, just like I hope he presses the party
hot
button.
chick
So we
room.
can
I'll
get
tell you
in
one
there
thing I
and
like
start
from
I'll
the
dancing.
tell you what they're
movie
doing,
that's
Colin.
missing-
Drugs. They're doing drugs.
one thing from
a
the
lot of acid.
one thing I like from the first movie that's missing in this is the fish out of water element. Like him being in the '90s, they just totally like got rid of that. He's now fully used to it. You know.
And he loves it there.
Yeah. I
Although
do
he
li-
really glosses over the 70s and the 80s. He does
Yeah.
not give those
Yeah,
decades.
seriously, an oil shortage and a flock of seagulls, and that's it. And I felt like
Not one for
that's-
history.
That's kind of missing a little bit, but
Yeah, I used to think that was funnier when I was younger too. Now I feel like I've learned more things, and it's
I thought of my least favorite. It is the Just the Two of Us, and
the rap. I like when he does
yeah,
the rap.
is terrible. The globe, bouncing the globe like a basketball and bouncing it off of number two's face. Just everything about that scene I think is dumb.
that sucks.
Bully culture.
Yeah.
That's it. I feel bad
Triggering.
for number two. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much.
Harris
As
was
a
hashtag
person-
triggered.
As a person who's always having basketballs bounced off his face.
Come on, tall man.
I already said least favorite.
Jonathan.
It might be the poop joke, which I just thought was such a terrible setup.
Which
And
one?
yeah, right, the drinking coffee. But I'll have to come back. I didn't have one that stuck out. I'll say in general, it lagged, even though it's short. By the I was like, oh, I'm surprisingly into it. Last 15 minutes, started to really run out of gas. So somewhere along there, I probably just too many action scenes.
I also have a pet peeve. Even in like comedy movies, I hate when logic is thrown out the window. Like Mini-Me is in outer space,
Yeah.
but he lives. I'm not down with that.
Well, the whole scene that gets him to end up in outer space is way too long and pointless.
The fight scene.
The fight scene, yeah.
Yeah. The fight scene's pretty.
Just so they can have another poop joke of him shitting him out the airlock.
Yes. Which was probably the funniest poop joke of the thing, I guess. But that's a low bar to clear.
It's the last one though. After you've done all these other poop.
You know what?
jokes?
You know what got a little laugh out of me in that fight scene, which I agree was too long and was not good, was when Mini-Me is like biting on his pecker and basically attached to the front of him, and he's just running back and forth and thrusting his junk into the poles to bang him in the head. After like the second time running to the other side and doing it, I was like, okay, that's yeah, I
kinda funny.
got a little giggle.
I like the fight scene. I thought it was funny. I like the glasses bit.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, bless your little heart." And he comes over to him and he's like, this.
And Vern was funny, man. Like he really he brought like a lot of character to something that could have just been a sight gag. He was like a really specific, funny
My
character.
favorite part of that fight is when he finally picks him up and throws him against the wall, and it's like clearly a dummy.
There's also Vern lifts him over his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like how weird the 90s was, is that Vern Troyer, off of the strength of this movie, became a star in his own right. We all still know his name.
Yeah.
20-something years later.
He was badass.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
definitely.
was like punk rock.
I also, in reading up on this movie beforehand, I realized he was actually born into an Amish family who left the Amish country, when he was young.
I was hoping you were
but-
going to say he was a Rumspringa success story.
Oh wow. I always think about that.
It's Vern. He's the one.
How many little Rumspringer babies are out there?
No. Well, we used to have me and a couple of friends used to have a joke about like how sometimes I look like I'm one of those people. Like it's a vibe that I put out sometimes
An
somehow.
Amish person?
An Amish person who ran away on Rumspringer
And
like,
just never came
yeah,
back?
just never came back.
Oh,
Colin,
yeah.
you
Now
get
that
it? You
now
see
that
the
mention
vibe?
it, no, I can totally see it. Your outfit, everything about it is just like the Amish teenager who never came home.
Can we? It's been enough time has passed. Can we do a reboot of Kingpin and have you play the role of the Amish kid.
I can't
Randy
believe you
Quaid
would
one.
suggest that. That movie can never be remade.
Only
It's
if
so
the Holland
perfect.
is-
It's perfect as it is.
I'm with Jonathan on this one. You don't mess with perfection. That is a perfect movie.
What if we just kind of take some elements from Kingpin and some from Witness with Harrison Ford?
And make our own movie.
Make
Yes,
our own.
I was just thinking we should do a comedy version of Witness with Colin in the lead.
Yeah, that'd be.
I got to tell one little. This might not be funny at all, but Kingpin reminds me of. That came out when I was in high school, somewhere around there, and I was watching it with my buddy Nick in the basement of someone's house with a bunch of friends, and they had the scene where Woody Harrelson gets up early because he's trying to impress the Amish people, and he comes back. He's like, took the liberty of milking your bowl, and he's drinking out of
Took
the
her a
bowl.
while to get going, but
Yeah, and then he's got the big milk mustache on. And the funniest thing about that entire movie for me is that, like, about 5 minutes later into the movie, my buddy Nick goes, "It was a bull," and turns around and punches the couch in anger. Like, it took him 5 minutes to get the joke, and he was furious about it. And we used to joke about that all the time. We, more than any quote from the movie, we would just quote him going, "It's a bull," and punching something.
So wait, what's worse,
It's a
that or
delayed
the
response.
shit drinking thing?
Oh, definitely shit drinking.
Yeah, I would.
no, the
Well,
Kingpin joke is hilarious.
Yeah, that's what makes it worse. They're both equally disgusting.
The
but
nasty
Kingpin
thing
joke is
happens
actually-
off camera and it's
Yeah.
implied.
Yeah, and
and
it's funny.
the wordplay.
Yeah, it's funny. Is what.
Wait, I gotta show you guys this. This is the meme we made of my like Rumspringer vibe.
Oh my god. We'll have to post that so everyone can see it.
Yeah, our listeners at home aren't really appreciating exactly
Colin, can
how
you
much
send that to
Colin
me
looks
so I can
like.
look
at
Looks like a lost Rumspringer child.
And it's just juxtaposed with a bunch of pictures of actual Amish people, so it looks like that's the family I left behind.
Is there a metal band called Rumspringer?
I don't
It's
know.
Rumspringer. Am I
Rumspringer.
Rumspringer.
I think it's.
I
Yeah.
think
Even
there
better.
might be.
I think of
They should endorse the
There,
show, man.
there should be an Amish hip hop band called Rumspringer.
Rumspringer. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a corner in the market for you right there.
Yep.
Guys, if you're listening, want to start a band?
Yeah, Colin, you
Call
can
it
front that.
Rumspringer.
$1 million
Yeah.
idea.
We're just giving them away here. I thought there was a funny gag where the portal isn't turned on, and he jumps into the time portal and bounces off of it. And also, I thought the animation on the portal was like cheesy, but also good. Like you could do
It was
that-
a great choice.
really
You could do
It
that
was
in
a great
After
choice.
Effects pretty easily,
Yeah.
but it's still really effective.
Yeah. Totally.
I thought for as many bad jokes as there are, and there's a lot of swings and misses in this one, it's such a fast velocity of jokes and quantity of jokes. Like, it really just keeps trying to make you laugh again and again and again. And it's sight gags and it's audio stuff and it's puns and it's just like stupid wardrobe. And it's like I admire the just turret of jokes that
Yeah.
it gives you.
They're not gonna strike out looking in this movie.
Yes.
They're taking swings.
I feel like some of that's Mike Myers, like whatever. I mean, I know he wasn't the director, but whatever kind of direction for the movie was coming from him was probably just keep trying to make a joke every time, you know?
Well, I would say that he was probably like the pseudo director.
Yeah.
Jay Roach was like
Isn't
not
that, we talked about
anything-
this last time that Jay Roach didn't really have a career until the first one.
Yes.
And he was probably brought on to be like sort of the caretaker of
Totally.
Mike Myers running the show, and
Yep.
more of a collaborator.
And I feel like at this point he was just like, I'm just gonna try and make it as many funny things as possible, like constant.
Well, it does feel like a good SNL skit, like a really well rehearsed and a character. Name a classic SNL character that they brought back and back and back and back, and it's like you have the built-in stuff, and then you can fill every gap with some joke, and
Yep.
it has that discipline.
Very, very much. What are some people's favorite moments or scenes?
If we had to walk away and say that this movie succeeded in a singular scene, what would that be?
There's two scenes I really like. Him using the woman as the human shield, because it's really good. And I also really think that the Dr. Evil and Frau Farbissina sex scene is really nice.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Frau's like pansexual, and they're just like pretty okay with it. It's pretty
No,
woke.
I love the joke
Pretty
when
woke for the
she's like,
1999
I'll never
movie.
be with another man again. And he's like, no, you won't. I also love the joke that Rob Lowe, who does like a spot on number 2. What's
Yeah.
the actor's
Robert
name?
Wagner.
Robert
Yeah.
Wagner. And then the joke that Frau Farbissina looks exactly the same.
You look so young and virile, and Frau, you.
Right.
Right.
He says right like a bunch of times
Yeah.
in this movie.
That's one of the better Dr. Evil mannerisms.
I have one. I have one.
I
thing-
use that GIF a lot.
Yeah.
Dr. Evil, right?
I have one that I definitely. It's sort of, it's not my favorite thing in the movie, but it's definitely, when I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, why didn't they do a spin-off movie of just this? Tim Robbins as the 1960s president of the United States. I was ready to watch like that as a series of films just about Tim Robbins being this frustrated, slightly overmatched, very straight-laced 1960s president.
You want to know what spin-off movie I would watch tomorrow? Will Ferrell as Mustafa.
Yes. Oh, yes.
100%. If somebody gets signed up, Jay Roach signed up to direct that or something, I would.
Did they lighten the blackface on him a little bit this time?
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
think it was
It's
quite
not
as,
as-
it
yeah.
wasn't as pronounced. There's definitely some makeup there, but not quite as.
Do I really have to ask you 2 more times?
That's either
Oh
my
my
favorite. The Human Shield is maybe the hardest single laugh, but the best scene is for me Will Ferrell.
Well, those 2 things are actually back to back. That
Oh,
scene is
that's-
directly followed by the Will
Peaks
Ferrell
early
scene.
then. That's the problem.
The human shield thing is the just flat out funniest sight gag, but that is the smartest joke, is where they start to get into the semantics of this rule, and he's trying to explain, because as soon as they said that, I was like, wait, they didn't ask him that, and then he points out that they didn't actually ask him the thing that they had to ask him 3 times.
And it's
Well, if
a
I'm
very
preaching to the
dispassionate.
converted, then
I actually think that the 3 question bit is funnier than his repeating bit from like when he once he
Oh,
falls
yeah,
off
yeah,
the cliff.
definitely,
I was
definitely.
like, okay, I'm ready to move
The
on.
other
to next
hidden,
scene.
the other great gem in that whole sequence is when he gets hit with the dart, and Austin Powers is just pissed that he won't look at him.
Now that you're just being rude.
yeah, you're just rude, man.
There's no temperature to the conversation. It's so glib. It's great.
Yeah, and the sound effect of his legs snapping when he tries to stand on them are so cringy, but
Did
still
you guys stick
somehow
around to the end
slightly
of the
funny.
credits?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a lot of credit cookies. We had Scott Evil on Jerry Springer again. We had the multiple Austins menage a trois.
Yeah.
And then we had the Mustafa is still alive down there.
I feel like that was pretty rare back then
Yeah.
to bury a joke that deep into the credits.
Yeah, definitely.
And now it's
have
like
multiple
every
credit cookies
fucking
there.
comedy, right?
Yep.
But
Back then it was like mostly like, I think it was a lot of outtakes. Sometimes you'd see,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that
yeah.
was it. Yeah, you didn't get whole other. Which is, they do alts for all these things. So I'm surprised that this didn't happen more often. But this definitely, I think, was part of that setting that trend. I thought speaking of jokes from earlier movies that are back in this one, the silhouette gag in the tent was,
that was
I
great.
thought, one of the better gags in this, and definitely was something that they sort of took from the first one, but where she's pulling things out of his ass.
She's trying to hammer that tennis racket back in. Why the hell did he have a tennis racket on the mission?
How did this gerbil get in here? I don't know.
One thing I really like is this is another one of my favorite things, I guess, is how many costume changes and looks Heather Graham gets. She has so many different costumes.
What's your favorite one?
I'm shocked that you wouldn't notice that based on your history with Heather Graham.
Uh,
I like the one where she undoes the back and he's giving her a massage.
massage, a sensual
Massage.
massage.
Sensual massage.
Well, I actually think maybe just the first one, the little blue, the blue one-piece thing with the shorts, with the little shorts. And
I like the one where they both come out of the ocean in the
Oh, yeah.
skin
Yeah.
diver Dr. No
Yeah,
bikinis.
that one. I also really like. There's a costume they wear for a very short period of time when Dr. Evil first captures them on the moon base, and he puts them in this matching, like, kind of diamond pattern threaded, like shiny
Oh,
metallic
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. And her costume. Oh, that's the one she opens her top up to make the guy fall in the magma.
Right.
That costume. I really like that. He says mama.
That's a repeating bit too when
Yeah.
he makes all the puns.
Yeah.
I guess he was hot for you.
Yeah,
That'll get him fired.
and that's enough. One joke that I did not ever get when this movie came out and got this time was that when he's got his moon base and he calls one moon base Alpha and one moon base Zappa.
Yeah, Moon Unit.
Moon Unit. Yeah, Moon Unit Zappa. I did not realize that at the time. I was like, wait, Moon Unit Zappa, isn't that Frank Zappa's kid?
Well, the whole joke of him, like everything he names is like already
The Alan
Alan
Parsons
Parsons
Project. Death Star.
Death Star. Oh my God.
Uses air quotes every time he says laser. Every single time.
So Matt, you had a connection with SNL. Is that really a Lorne impression?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally, yeah. Well, the like behind the scenes thing that I've heard about this is that Dana Carvey actually coined that impersonation, and Mike Myers stole it from him, and that's why Dana Carvey is not in any of these movies, and they sort of like their friendship was over.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think they've
Scandal.
since like kind of reconnected because they've done appearances as like Wayne's World and stuff. But yeah, they
It's
didn't
like
like
the
each other.
Simpsons joke where Mo where the alfalfa steals the marble gag and Mo's like, "That's my bit. You stole my bit."
Oh my God!
I
He
killed
killed the original Alpha.
Well, geez, wouldn't you be pissed? Like, what did Dana Carvey do fucking after Wayne's World? And he, in that impression,
I
launched a franchise that made
Yeah.
like
Him like a
$600 million.
Yeah.
Dana Carvey did a little classic called Master of Disguise.
Right? Yes, Turtle.
Clean slate.
You remember the exact
Yeah,
same joke for the
yeah.
trailer of that I do.
Correct.
Master
And only that joke.
Yeah, and only yes, exactly.
Do you guys remember a Dana Carvey movie called Trapped in Paradise?
No.
I think I saw it like
It's
a long
it's like
time
a
ago.
Christmas movie. It's Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, and I think Nicolas Cage.
Yes, Nicolas
Yeah.
Cage.
Oh,
All-star
that sounds
cast.
great.
Yeah.
I remember a joke from that trailer as well. 4 lefts is a circle, you idiot.
Oh
They're
my
crooks,
God!
right? They're
I do
criminals.
remember this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. In fact, not only do I remember that movie existing, I remember watching that movie on
Yes.
TV. So
It was good.
Yeah, it's a real
Yeah,
good
I
movie.
remember it being funny.
Yeah.
I couldn't
But he
tell you
wasn't a
what
star,
happens.
right? Is the point. Dana Carvey fizzled out as an actor, especially as a, screen
As
actor.
as a star, yeah. As a
He had the Dana
leading
Carvey
man.
show, which should have been great, but wasn't.
Yep.
But fucking Mike Myers. How interesting! Like Mike Myers has maybe the most successful post SNL career, and he
think he
did like
does.
3 characters:
Yeah. He really didn't.
Shrek and Austin Powers, and like
The love,
The Love Guru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Wayne's
Wayne's
World.
World? Wayne's World. Yeah, that's. But
Wayne's
yeah.
World was a pretty big hit. I'm pretty sure the 2 movies together was a lot. And then Shrek was a massive hit.
Yep. Yeah, that's basically 3 big franchises.
I don't think if he had
2 accents,
Yeah.
yeah,
basically. And one of them was Dana Carvey's. I'd be pissed too.
I don't think if he hadn't already done both the Wayne's World movies, this movie would be the same. You know what I mean? Like what I was saying before about how what I thought was coming from him was that energy of trying to make a joke every second. I think that came from his experiences making those movies.
Right.
It's like that's what I think is actually
Well, and also
succeeding.
just the SNL thing of
Yeah.
just trying out gags and having one idea that you sort of,
yeah.
But
I mean, this movie doesn't really care about the overarching plot very much. It's more about the jokes and the skits.
Yeah, it's basically. I think the first movie felt we said that it felt like a bunch of SNL sketches like put together.
Yeah.
This movie's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a coherent story. It follows a Bond formula, right?
yeah,
For
it
the most
definitely
part.
follows.
Aside
Time
from the time
travel.
travel.
That's
Yeah.
all. It's all an excuse, right, to go back into the past. But they fit it in
Also,
enough.
making Fat Bastard's big dump he took like part of the plot was.
I thought that was I thought that was ingenious. If you're gonna have the joke, at least make it integral to
What-
the.
Chekhov's shit.
What was smart about it
that
was
is kind of like a Bond trope of they find some evidence that leads them to the
right, like directly to the lair.
Yep.
I think what was smart was trying to invert the plot from the last one, where Austin goes on a mission and is going to have sex with some random woman because that's what you do
job,
as
yeah.
a spy, right? And then in this one they have Felicity, the other spy, do it.
He gets
and we
mad.
see how he
Yeah. Did you guys notice any other like like weird things that you thought maybe only you noticed? Like I have one. Doctor Evil, and I come to think of it, I didn't look at Austin Powers', but Doctor Evil's earlobes are really weird. Did you guys ever notice them?
No.
They hang down really low.
Is that a sort of a play on the Blofeld thing of getting his ears surgically attached so he could? Do you guys not remember that? From
I forget.
From On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he's impersonating a duke or something. He's trying to claim a royal lineage, but all the people in that line have attached earlobes, so he gets his earlobes surgically attached.
I do remember that.
Maybe it's
Probably because I noticed that Mini-Me had the same thing, so they're definitely going with like a
random weird earlobe.
I thought it was the baldness just made it look like that. You know what I mean?
No, he definitely has huge ears. If you pull it up, a picture, you could see.
Yeah.
Bigger ears than normal Mike Myers.
Okay.
Well, now I'm curious to see what normal Mike Myers and what Austin Powers' ears look like, and if they look different, then that solves that.
Well, you'll have to tune into
Austin
Austin
Powers
Powers in,
3.
in Goldmember to
Yeah.
hear our
It
conclusion.
was again Oscar nominated for its makeup.
There you go.
You don't get there with just
Yep.
regular
Mistakes,
actor
yeah.
earlobes.
That's
You gotta
true.
give the extra 10%.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I all I mostly noticed was like the direct Bond references of like the opening scene in space is from You Only Live Twice, and I don't know. There was some other stuff that
Well, Moonraker is kind of
the space base and everything. Yeah.
What does he say? Oh my gentle Jesus.
Oh my gentle Jesus. Yep.
Yeah, whoever played that astronaut did a good job.
That was actually Mike Myers.
It was.
He dubbed that one extra voice.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Did you find anything interesting in the trivia reading about this movie, like weird behind the scenes?
I didn't read it all.
stories?
It was so long.
Yeah, I didn't read any of it.
Yeah.
My favorite still was that the political themes were replaced by sex appeal. I can imagine Lenny Kravitz being the one who actually edited that that Wikipedia entry.
It's like, I don't want to explain my art, but what I did here was I replaced the political themes with sex appeal.
Way to go, Lenny.
What else you got?
I don't know, Jonathan. Do you have any?
Stray observations?
No, not particularly. It was not a lot of payoff for attention given to the movie. It was a really easy movie to like watch in the background.
Yeah, that's exactly. I kind of have the same reaction. It's hard to imagine that anybody sat wrapped in a theater and watched this, although I know they did.
We did.
Yeah.
No, that I
For
do
sure.
remember.
People
Yep.
did.
So where does this stack up compared to the first one for you guys who have watched the first one recently, and for you who have probably not seen the first one in some time?
It's been a while, but I remember the first one being legitimately funny. And then this, fell victim to the trap of trying to do more and make it bigger. They introduce the new characters. They get a ring of life, injected into the franchise. They lose a lot with Heather Graham, I think. As a whole, it's not as hot take. As a whole, it's less fresh and it's less funny. But I thought it did well. I thought it pleasantly surprised me last night, returning to it first time in a while.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as funny as the first one. It definitely loses something. But I will say they were clever in the jokes that they did bring back. I think a lot of them were brought back in a fresh or clever way, as opposed to just essentially like redoing the exact same thing, which I think a lot of more recent comedies that have tried to do, repeat business, like they kind of just try to do the same exact thing. The Hangover 2 comes to mind. It's like pretty much the exact same movie as the first one. Yeah, no, I mean, this isn't a bad movie at all. I think it's pretty funny. But yeah, it falls victim to time. Like I said earlier, time has hurt it a little bit.
And poop jokes.
It lost its mojo. Yeah.
I'll tell you what actually did surprise me that I remember is when Fat Bastard sings the Chili song. And that it's still the fucking jingle 20 years later.
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my god, does a kid who's born to like 10 years ago even know what the Chili's jingle is? But like I was like, wow, this is such a thing back then that it was ubiquitous. That commercial
Still
was
to
on all
this
the time.
day.
Yeah.
And they change it, like every commercial has like a new
Yeah.
version. That thing
Yeah.
has some staying power. Fat
Yeah.
Bastard must have given him a lot of free advertising.
I wonder if that's where the baby thing came from. They're like,
Maybe
He
well,
just
he's
wanted
gotta-
to sing
He's
that
got to
song.
sing the song.
Oh, that is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it all makes sense now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
like the first movie, there are some lines in this that I still say to this day, and don't even realize like that I'm quoting this movie. There's a part where when he says something like "Look at my body," like I feel like I say that all the time. I'm
Sexy.
like, "Look at my body."
Yeah, I felt
Dead sexy.
I felt like this was it did feel stale compared to the first one in that like the first one felt fresh and like a new thing and a really like fun spoof of a genre that I loved, so it was all very exciting. This one, a lot of that excitement was gone. I did feel like the Heather Graham was a downgrade, and I just feel like her performance is sort of indicative of like what we talked about Mike Myers' performance. It feels like they're sort of going through the motions rather than actually committing to characters and decisions. And there was certain jokes like the fat bastard thing. I thought a lot of the mini-me stuff just didn't play at all. On the other hand, I did think all like the balls pecker, that the different name for penis thing. I felt like there was a lot.
Wang.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of they came up with a lot of new jokes that I thought worked even better than the old ones. So on the balance, it was I probably laughed more at this one than I did at the first one, and enjoyed the movie less, if that makes sense.
That's
That makes
interesting.
total sense, actually.
You hate laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
kind of agree with almost all of this. I was taken
Wow,
back
wow,
to
go out on a limb there,
Yeah.
Colin.
yeah, I was taken back to being in school, and I was how we talked about the first Austin Powers helped this one gain a lot of steam to being a movie that everyone saw. I was definitely, we talked about on the last podcast, people who just, when the first Austin Powers movie became popular, people who just quoted it too much. I was one of those people. It was very much a thing. Like, I love this movie. Everyone knows I'm
It
going to
was
go
your
see it.
bag,
I'm
baby.
Yeah, it was definitely my bag.
committing my identity. I'm tethering my identity to this film forever.
Yeah, yeah,
It
and
will never age.
and so, and like we said, everyone saw it. So I remember, talking to other kids at school about seeing it and stuff. And yeah, I just remember it being like, oh yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was great. I laughed at all the stuff that happens. And I remember, kind of supporting it in that way. And, even other kids then already at 14 being like, yeah, but some of it's really kind of dumb and immature, like, poop jokes and like all this, like,
And you were like, "Fuck you! I hate you. We're not friends anymore."
yeah, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go home and fucking look at my CD booklet of fucking Heather Graham.
I think as a kid, I would have been like, dude, there's like 5 poop jokes in this movie. You have to see it.
But yeah, it both kind of solidified its kind of greatness of being a part of my life in that time period, and also helped me kind of transition away from caring about it too much at the same time. I think, I don't know,
It was a nice
Kind of
soft
strange.
breakup for you.
yeah, and it's sort of similar to that feeling of you were saying of, I think I laughed at this one more and enjoyed it less. It's like, I don't know.
So what you're saying is I've nailed it again.
Yeah.
All right.
and yeah, and also sort of similar to just it being the same, them reusing too much. But I don't think comedy franchise movies can really get out of that. A lot of times it's like, this character works and the joke about this character is only really this one thing, so it's gonna keep being that. It's hard to kind of get away from that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Totally.
Speaking of how much this was quoted, I would be remiss if I did not say that my in-laws quoted this movie so incessantly, my in-laws' family, father-in-law and his brother specifically, that well after the impression finally died, "Yeah, baby" is now said with no accent, unironically, for every cause of celebration in that family. It's just "Yeah, baby" is their official moniker. So
I
yeah,
think
staying
I think
power.
as soon as you divorce it somehow from the accent, you've made it something new and acceptable. Like
Yeah.
that. Like I was gonna say,
Think
like,
of a Buffalo accent.
yeah,
and then you
we
have it.
talked a lot about friends on the last podcast, on the first one, that just still use this to the day, but still do it with the accent and are still basically quoting the movie for no reason, out of context, all the time. And I feel like if it's become its own thing, that's okay. If you're still legitimately doing an Austin Powers impression for any time in the past 10 years, you have just gone way too far.
I stopped watching movies when I saw Austin Powers.
That was it for me.
Can't get any better than that, baby.
This is cinema. They've nailed it.
Have you, on that note, have you ever seen Pauly Shore is Dead? Oh, man. Oh, so there's a character in Pauly Shore is Dead, and it's a guy who basically the best movie that's ever been made for him was Son-in-Law, and it's the only thing he cares about.
God.
He never watched another movie after that, just Son-in-Law.
That's
I'm
amazing.
guessing Pauly Shore wrote the script to this movie.
You never, okay, it's
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah,
No, I
pitch,
know
pitch,
it.
pitch me Pauly Shore is dead.
Pauly Shore.
Spoiler alert, he's not.
He fakes his own death.
He is
That's
actually in this movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pauly Shore
So
fakes his
it's
own death.
meta,
It's like
okay.
it's almost kind of meta because like the audience knows he's faking his own death the whole time, but it's part of the plot. And then he goes to jail for it.
Have you ever seen Inception? It's like that.
But way better.
But the whole time he's being stalked by this son-in-law guy who's like, "I saw son-in-law. Don't give up on being the weasel."
Biodome was great too.
Yeah, Biodome's my favorite. Just if we're
throwing him out
if we're
there.
throwing him out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Encino Man.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going
Encino
to say.
Man.
Encino
All you
Man's
care
good.
about is nugs, chillin', and grindage.
It's an ethos.
Oh, God. Oh,
How
thank
many
you.
movies did Pauly Shore do? That's a franchise that we could do. Just Pauly Shore
Just Pauly
movies.
Shore.
In the army now.
In the
Jury
army now.
duty.
Jury duty, yeah.
What happened to Pauly Shore? Is he running the comedy store now, or what's he doing? He must be
I
doing
think
something.
he plays there sometimes. I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know
his
if he's
his,
running it.
his mom owns
Yeah,
it.
She
I
just
know.
passed
No.
away
Yeah,
recently.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
she's
So I'm wondering like what the disposition of that estate is.
I think one thing he's trying to do is like stay off of cocaine and other drugs.
Oh, it's a good idea for him.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna judge his. I don't know his life. Maybe it's not a good idea.
Colin
Maybe you should
apparently
check back in.
knows it well.
Pauly Shore is Dead is pretty intimate portrait, I feel like, of
Yeah.
him.
You know, like a lot of people aren't funny anymore when they stop doing cocaine, but Pauly Shore has the advantage of he was never that funny. So.
I will say I saw him.
Unprovoked
I
shots
saw
at
him
Pauly Shore.
Comedy
Sorry,
Store,
that's not true. I've actually laughed at Pauly Shore,
and
many
he was
times.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
I like him. I feel like Biodome is another one of those movies where in the time when I first saw it, it will always be classic to me because of that first viewing, you know?
Yeah.
I remember Jury Duty. Do you guys remember at all? There's one joke where he plays a juror that doesn't want the court trial to end because it's like a sweet gig for him to have a free hotel basically.
Oh, yeah, right.
And so he tries to sabotage the fucking whole trial, is the whole plot of the movie. And at one point, like a medical expert has to testify, and the testimony says something about the word penis, and he just keeps making him say it again. He's like, "What was that word?" And it's like penis, and the punchline escalates to penis, penis, penis. He yells it 3 times. We must have been 10 or 11. We went for my friend's birthday. I remember funniest joke ever, and his cousin screamed it out of the car as we were driving home after the movie, and it was like the funniest thing a kid had ever done in history was scream penis, penis, penis immediately after Jury Duty. So,
great.
again, don't sleep on Pauly Shore.
That is
Yeah.
excellent.
it.
That is excellent childhood comedy.
Yeah.
Jonathan, are you working on anything fun? You got anything to plug?
writing and developing some stuff. But a little too soon to plug those. But recently, Online made its debut. Short film I produced that played the festival circuit for a while. I Promised Her Life. You can search for it on YouTube. I Promised Her Life. Driving some viewers there would be a great, beautiful show. It's drama. So it's not really the same vibe as Austin Powers, but yeah.
Well, luckily we have very few listeners, so if all of them will go to your YouTube page, please, all six of you, please check out Jonathan's movie. Do we
like and subscribe?
Are we doing a license to watch here?
I think this deserves a license. I'm issuing it.
All right. Who's we're all in agreement on that one?
I'll issue it.
All right.
Unless you're poop sensitive.
No, it's just barely.
I think to fully understand the mythos of Austin Powers, you need to understand the middle chapter.
Yeah, for sure. This is like this is the money making peak of the franchise.
This was the biggest money maker of and then I think they doubled the budget again for the next one, and
Cut the halves in half.
cut the laughs in half. Yeah, they.
It's been a long night.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is pure
Again, the third one, the budget is all salaries, I bet.
Yeah, probably.
And the
yeah.
Tom Cruise cameo.
Yeah, exactly.
They went much bigger in the next one.
Kevin
and,
Spacey, too.
Oh God, that's aged not well.
Don't spoil it for me.
Oh, yeah.
I think for the listeners that are listening out there, if you want to give us some feedback and suggest that you want to hear us do Pauly Shore movies, or you want to hear us do, what was the Dana Carvey and Nicolas Cage one that we were talking about?
Trapped in Paradise.
Trapped in Paradise.
Yeah.
Give us a shout out.
And I would like to just send a message to the listeners that are watching out there. Turn the volume up, guys. It's much better if you can hear us.
Yeah. Why is it too low?
No, I was just joking about Colin saying the listeners who are listening.
I didn't get it.
That's the
like-
kind of laugh you get on the second viewing.
He's like touching the soundboard while he's doing it. I'm like, are you telling us you're sabotaging this?
Oh no, I would just like to point out that this is going to sound like shit because between your noise canceling headphones and the fact that I can't really see the waveforms because like I can only see it when we peak. I can't really measure it otherwise, and we are all over the place. Every time somebody raises their voice at all, it just peaks, and then the rest of the time I can't even tell if we can
Well,
hear it.
have fun with that, listeners.
Don't tell them that. We did a great job.
There
and
it
you
goes,
loved it.
and now it's just a nonstop block of
Keep
waveform.
donating more money, guys.
Yeah.
They need help.
Don't tell them
in
we
the
did a
studio.
bad job.
I'm turning everyone down. All right, so license to watch. License to watch issued.
Great. Cool. Thank you for listening. And see you next time for Austin Powers 3. Jonathan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
A lot of fun.
Beautiful stranger.
Is that going to be our outro music?
American woman.
Is that going to be our outro music? But not the political version, right?
Are you going to come my way?